Stan, before we get into basketball, I got something I got to talk to you about. I need to talk to you about double dipping etiquette because I was with a group last week, and what's the rule here? If I dip a chip into the dip, take a bite, if I rotate the chip so none of the part that I bit is touching the dip, is this a fair double dip? Is this inappropriate? What's the rule here?
I mean, it all depends on who you're with. I think if you're, if you're with family, that's okay. If you're at a party or something, you can't double dip. It's, you know what they say, there's if you're a public official, there's the appearance of a conflict of interest. You can't even have the appearance of a double dip if you're at a party.
I have a lot of them. Like I'm very clearly rotating the chip. Like I'm not sneaky with my chip. Like you're
showing
lift
everyone
my hand up. I don't say anything because you don't want to say you're double dipping.
But in the way that they notice.
If anyone's on to me, like let's say someone's like, wow, I think Chris might be a double dipper. I'm very clearly like I show a full rotation of the chip.
You're more worried about the part of the chip that your mouth touched. I see you rotate the chip, and I see you put in part of the chip that your hand.
Right? No, that is the clear. I know what I'm doing there, but I just I can't have that chip wants more dip. The chip wants more dip.
That's a good point, Mike. Solid point. That's a double dip. Yeah, you don't want to be double dipping for any reason.
But I look at that chip, and it wants more dip.
This is put more dip on it though. The first time is what Stan is saying. I think
get another chip if you want more dip.
Chris, did you just hear your father and you become your father with that joke? The chip wants more dip.
It does, though.
He is so his dad. It's amazing.
I want you to imagine him enraged and charging at you because he's infuriated on behalf of admin.
But think about a chip's life. A chip's life wants dip. So half this chip got dip, and then the rest of this sad little chip is just like, wow, so you're just going to eat me with nothing. That's all I am to you.
It meant the dip in your small intestine, though, Chris. It didn't die
all right, Stan,
death in vain.
Stan, let's do this now. Let's just get this out of the way, and then when we can get to less important matters like basketball.
Yep.
If you're going one dip and only one dip, you can only have one dip.
That's easy.
That's easy? You
for
say,
me, it is.
Is it French onion for you?
It is French onion for me, yes.
Okay, and what about you, Stan?
Yeah, French onion is the only dip.
Okay.
Stugotz and I are in total agreement on that, which scares me. I mean, anytime you're in total agreement with Stugotz, it has to give you pause.
Well, thank you, Stan.
The topic, but on this one, I am in total agreement.
I go queso. If I can only do one dip the rest of my life,
Chili's queso.
I was going to ask you about salsa. Does salsa get in the mix if I have to choose from among the three? And I'm doing you don't want a Tostito and French onion, correct? Like a toast, because now you're combining the chip. The chip
Good
matters.
Point. Good point. The chip does matter, yes. If we're going to go with a tortilla chip, then I'd go guac myself. But
oh man, he
healthy.
He did.
But the best chip and dip combination is Lay's Original with the French onion dip. That's the best chip dip combination.
All right, put it on the poll there. Yeah. That is a good poll question at Le Batard Show.
No, you got to go with the Ruffles, though.
Really? Oh wow.
All right.
Okay.
Here you go. Who is more of a Hall of Famer? More of a Hall of Famer is the poll question. The Ruffles with French onion or the lime Tostito with salsa? Because you guys better be careful here.
The lime Tostito. Just go the original
regular.
Tostito.
Yeah, I'm with him.
All right, any of the Tostitos, fine.
It already has lime on it. It doesn't need sauce.
Any of the Tostitos, the extra salty. Has it then been declared? What are the combinations of chips that are the Hall of Famers? Like, what are you putting on a Dorito? Roy, you've eaten
nothing.
You've kept the Doritos industry alive.
That's right.
You eat so many Doritos as an adult male. There can't be another adult male in America that eats as many Doritos as you do. Do you do it always plain, or is there ever a dip on there?
Always plain. There's no reason to have a dip. If you have ranch or nacho cheese, what's the point of having a dip?
Okay, so always clean. And are you in agreement there, Stan? Is the Dorito to ever be dipped?
Well, if you had the plain Doritos, you could dip them. See, I would not eat the flavored Doritos. I wouldn't eat any flavored chip. I would let the dip bring the extra flavor.
All Doritos are flavored, though. Like the original flavor is nacho cheese.
He says that's Dorito flavor. He says the original flavor,
like
nacho
plain,
cheese,
right.
is just the flavor
It is
Dorito.
fair.
Right.
Shut up, Whitty. That's the
He's
original
right.
Dorito flavor.
Right.
How about Stan? How about the Fritos, Stan? What?
If you come out the box with nacho cheese at a standard flavor for Dorito.
Dan.
But that's a
Tostitos.
flavor.
No,
Tostitos. Leave it alone, Whittingham.
You're wrong.
Jesus.
You are wrong.
Move on.
You're wrong about the original flavors. Taco flavor was the original flavor, not nacho cheese.
Really?
Come
Yes.
on, guys. Everyone knows a red bag is the original Dorito
Exactly.
flavor. Not enough of this.
Roy, I
Yep.
think
Look
you've
it
got
up.
it
We'll not
factually.
entertain
Roy, I
any of
think
this.
you've got it factually right, and yet you're wrong.
That's true. That's
The
probably right.
nacho is going to be the original flavor of Dorito. I will not hear anything else.
You are headed towards Fritos. You leave Fritos alone.
I'm
Fritos
gonna-
do not
well,
need a dip.
But I'm going to
No.
get to Fritos in a second. But I need this question answered, and I need it as a poll question, please. The best dip for the Tostito is salsa, queso, or guac. Those are your three choices.
I'm going to come out and say this. Fritos, they suck.
Yeah, they're shit.
No,
You
that's
stop it
terrible.
right now.
Fritos
You
suck.
knock it off right
Fritos
now.
suck.
Corn chips.
How dare you?
No,
You use it with chili.
After one bag, your mouth,
Mike,
it's like
can't.
you've been on
Mike,
a bender
Mike's
all
right.
night. You're
Knock
still
it
caught
off.
down.
Mike's
It's
right.
disgusting. It is
This.
just
Jesus
salt.
Christ,
It is
it's a
just
Hall
salt.
of Famer.
Mike's right.
Sucks.
What?
Yeah, they're bad.
Texture is
Of all
bad.
the chips we're talking, of all the stacks we're talking about here, bottom by far.
Hurts
I
your
thought
mouth
I
to
knew you.
eat. Hurts
They
your
do
mouth.
hurt a little
They're
bit.
oddly-
They stab you in the gums.
They're oddly like thick.
What is it with
Are
their-
they thick? Are they thin? What do they want to be?
What do you want to be? If you're going to be that thick, why is the crunch
Right.
just diluted? I don't understand any of it.
Zagaki.
And if
You
you're
ever
putting
had
it in the
Frito
chili
pie?
yeah, I've had it. I've had it in like chili. I've had
It's fine with that.
That Sonic burrito.
As an accoutrement, it's fine. But by itself,
Look at you.
I know food.
Stugotz,
But English.
lest
Is that English?
But I will say, I will say, the honey barbecue twist, which is it's totally different though.
that changes
That's fine.
everything. No, but that's the chili one. Also the chili Frito. I don't. But Stan is
Chili Frito.
Stan is going to want the original Frito.
The original Frito and Fritos go with no dip.
Thank you.
Oh, you monster!
don't
Thank you.
dip
You use it in
listen,
chili.
Mike, your take on Fritos is about as good as your take on quarterbacks. So
Okay, let's do this now.
Yes.
Well, let's do this now. Okay, here we are now.
If
finally.
I were a Browns fan, I'd be really hurt
Finally,
by that.
we have arrived. Oh, this is wonderful. Stan, thank you for bringing it up. We will get to basketball in a moment.
No, I'll just take my. I'll take my. L and walk away.
No. You will not take that L quietly. You are going to wait until Stan delivers that L.
I mean, he delivered it flawlessly.
He really did.
Stan,
You can't do it better than that,
Your
Dan.
thoughts on Baker Mayfield having the goods, dude?
Well, look, to be honest, I felt bad for him in this whole thing because my take was the guy tried to play hurt all year to help that team, and then he ended up getting crapped on by everybody. I felt bad for him. I mean, look, I think DeShaun Watson is probably a better quarterback, and it's probably a good move for Cleveland, but Baker Mayfield played the whole year hurt. He deserved a little bit of respect for what he tried to do. I'm not a huge Baker Mayfield fan, but I thought this year, like, he gave everything he had.
I'm surprised to hear that take, and I largely agree with you. I think in retrospect, it was a huge mistake trying to play hurt, trying to prove his worth for a contract. He ended up nuking his value to the point that I actually think the market is really unfair because say what you will about Baker Mayfield, he's a starter in the NFL. There aren't 32 quarterbacks better than Baker Mayfield when he is healthy.
Mike, I love the report of mutual
I agree.
mutual
I agree,
disinterest.
Oh, the
You know
mutual
what it
disinterest was
reminded
great.
me of a little bit is we'll see how it ends up for him. But Isaiah Thomas, not the Hall of Fame Isaiah Thomas, the one who's still playing in Charlotte, played hurt in that playoff run for Boston and ended up basically destroying his career, because of the injured hip. And I've always felt bad for him. We'll see how the Baker Mayfield thing goes. But right now, it doesn't seem like there's a big market for him.
I think if you're still asking these questions 4 years into a quarterback's career, then Stan is largely right with his general thesis on Baker Mayfield over the span of his career. If he stopped playing week 2 when he first sustained that first injury, then you're looking at a situation in which after, I think, week 7, his numbers, his advanced numbers, the previous season, the season that saw him one bad call away from possibly an AFC championship game, he was in the top 5 of quarterbacks after he figured stuff out and OBJ went down the first time. I do think that there's something there, but I do concede that Stan won the debate.
This question comes up a lot on this show. It happened a couple weeks ago when Amin was retweeted by Isaiah Thomas. Is there a more respectful and polite way to differentiate between Isaiah Thomas, the current basketball player, and Isaiah Thomas, the Hall of Famer, other than Isaiah Thomas, not the Hall of Famer? Because it seems like we get hung up on this a lot on this show.
Yeah, and it's
well, they spell their names differently, so you could say, I guess, 2 A's or 1 A.
That's not helping people, though. So. That's not going to help people know which one is.
No, that's true, because most people still wouldn't know which one you're talking about.
But there's only one Zeke. I mean, that's it.
The current player and the former player.
Stan, what were your thoughts on the NFL's handling of DeShaun Watson and him ending up with more guaranteed money than any player ever?
Well, there's nothing been proven against the guy. I mean, so I don't know how you do anything else to him. And, if you're a team, you've got a guy that was accused of something, convicted of nothing, not even tried on anything. I mean, why wouldn't you sign him? The fee, the pushback you're going to get, and 22 accusations is a lot, but nonetheless, I mean, there's nothing. He's not proven guilty of anything. Why should he pay? And why would you not sign a player of his caliber?
Stan, if you were a fan of the Browns, you're not, but if you were, would you, like Mike Ryan, who was announced he is no longer a fan of the Cleveland Browns, would that be enough for you to turn your back on the team that you loved?
No, I don't think so. Look, If you're a fan and you're going to turn your back on a team based on what one of your players does off the field, then you're going to have a hard time searching for teams to support. I mean, that's just the reality. So,
Mike has renounced his Browns allegiance. Mike has been a lifelong Browns fan. His abuela gave him a Browns plate from a dollar store, and he's been a lifelong Browns fan. He's never cared about that team the way that he cared about it the last couple of seasons, where he finally had some hope with that team. And now, because of what has happened, he has renounced his fandom.
Yeah, I just find it difficult, and I understand where you're coming from. And Lord knows plenty of people in the mentions, their first course of action is to say, what about Kareem Hunt? And I've explained in detail why there are different things. There's over 22 instances of alleged misconduct here where people were either assaulted or had to witness something that you wouldn't want anybody witnessing in person. And I just can't disassociate that from the team's success when it's the game's most important position. He's touching the ball every offensive play. I'm reminded of it. I'm going to have to defend it every time, and I already was exhausted by it before it even began. And Friday's press conference just kind of sickened me. I was watching it, and I got more and more angry. I will admit, though, that this is going to be tough for me because it was such a huge part of my life. I still find myself – I saw someone tweet the other day, Pittsburgh Steelers have the best quarterback situation in the division. I'm like, what? And I still feel that fandom tugging at me.
You have unnecessarily imprisoned yourself by so publicly renouncing your fandom. It was an extreme emotional measure.
It was emotional. If I could do it over again, I'd just wear my public inner turmoil and not know what to do with it and not
make a show of it.
No, there was a lot of. Well,
but Mike, this is
but
what
he can
happened.
backpedal, can he?
Look,
he can talk it out.
No, I didn't.
Mike,
make a show of it is tough.
Look, you correct me if I'm wrong. What happened here is that Mike Ryan believes both things strongly. He believes what he's telling you about DeShaun Watson, and he believes that he loves the Browns a little bit too irrationally. And so at the crossroads of moral compromise as a fan, Mike Ryan, who we are going to send around the world to sell his fandom as a man named Moral Compass, looking for any team out there that wants his allegiances in football.
That is making a show of
the,
it.
the Chargers, the Chargers haven't had an arrest in 5 years, so they're
the leader in the clubhouse right now.
He is going to travel the world looking for new fandom. You decided, because you're somebody who took the road less traveled of I will be the nation's foremost Browns supporter at a microphone.
I mean, your words, not mine.
But no one else at a microphone no one else has more listeners at a microphone that's advocating for the Browns than you, voice of the Browns, Mike Ryan. And you felt the need to die on this hill.
Yeah, I felt the need to use a platform to share my disgust with it, because I think too many people get caught up in the excitement of, well, this is a Super Bowl year, and this is a really bad situation. I dare I say, it's unfair for everybody. I know for a fact there are people in that organization that feel the same way that I do, that feel totally betrayed by this organization.
Friday disgusted you extra more, right? Even as you're seeing what should have been an exciting
Friday was bullshit.
But even as you're seeing a press conference that under other circumstances would have been much more excited than you were about getting Odell. Oh, holy shit. I've got a quarterback for 7 years if you put away your moralities and just concentrate on your fandom.
7 years, like 15 years.
But you know what I mean. You've got a quarterback for a while now. I've got a player. I'm a player in the league because he does have the goods, dude.
He's a top 5 quarterback in the league.
We have seen it. That should have been one of the happiest days a Browns fan could ever have, and you're still sick to your stomach about all that's happened here. And then Friday made it worse.
Yeah, Friday made it worse when people start asking good questions at the press conference about how much digging did they do, and they just kind of took DeShaun's word for it. And DeShaun to say that he doesn't have any regrets, no public atonement. I didn't get any of the contrition that I got with Kareem Hunt. I know it's apples and oranges, but come on. There are 22 civil lawsuits filed against you. You mean to tell me you can't identify a single misstep in any of this? And for Barry and Stefanski to say what they did, and for Jimmy Haslam to pass the buck to his daughters. I mean, what is with this guy?
They approved it.
He outsources every big quarterback decision, one to an unhoused individual and the other one to his 2 daughters. It was a disgusting display. I was so offended that they decided to tuck it away in a Friday right before the weekend so it gets drowned out by all the weekend sporting events. It was done intentionally. It happened on the same day that there was another hearing, a grand jury hearing to see if he was going to be indicted in another county. All of it felt so bad, and I got more and more pissed off at the Cleveland Browns, and my resolve was strengthened. And then the sports washing stuff happens, and I see, who can you get on a? Can you bring Jarvis Landry back?
You're checking out, and it hurts the most to check out because you're going to have an exciting team. But Stan, what do you do with?
He'll check back in.
Well, we'll see because I don't.
Fair enough. It's fair. I've never been put in this situation where I feel so betrayed to a team that I'm just throwing my hands up in the air. And you make me angry.
But it's okay if Mike does that, right? Like, you're allowed to have a reaction.
Do it by a certain
you're
date,
allowed
though.
to have.
You do.
I just feel like it's very natural, Mike's feelings there. There have to be a lot of Browns fans that were like, screw this, screw them, F them. But then, like, you just start, I don't know, like, I get.
The audience is not going to allow Mike to take it back now and never mind.
Mike, if you're going to take it back, do it before training camp. They can't get off to a 3-0, 4-0 start. They look dominating, and then you're back in.
I'm uncomfortable with that aspect. One thing that has been pretty steadfast throughout this process is seeing DeShaun Watson on a television screen makes me want to throw up. It pisses me off. Every time I see him in a graphic wearing a Browns uniform, every time I see his smug look at that press conference.
Not the feeling you should have toward your team.
No, I
of
get
your team.
sick. And so during the course of the season, number 4 is going to be taking snaps for the Cleveland Browns at some point, you would think. That feeling is still going to be there. And that is why, yes, it's my choice. But the visceral reaction is not something that I'm deciding to have.
You'll see when it gets here how it is that you feel, and that feeling will propel you, and then it'll tug you back in when you've got them
Stan's actually
-4,
in this segment.
and it'll tug you back in by the touchdown.
But betting knows no moralities. You're already doing something that in many states is perceived as immoral. So I will still bet the Browns.
Boy,
Like,
you'll
come
be
on.
back.
Come on. Like, I'm disgusted at the notion that I would boycott betting those games.
I'm so proud of you.
I've bet on a lot worse.
Stan, what are your thoughts about all of that? The wrestling of the alligator that is Mike Ryan's fandom.
I was on Masvidal Covington. Like, when it comes to gambling, I know my morality or immorality knows no bounds.
Oh, that's great. No, look, I thought the key word, though, in the whole thing isn't in his initial rant, the word alleged. I mean, I'm just like, we jump to conclusions, and I understand it's 22 allegations, but I'll withhold my judgment until there's judgment against him. And I know not everybody will do that, but
what do you do, Stan? What do you do with the idea that as the women in your life have taught you, right? You came through coaching and the masculinity of coaching, and I imagine in the years talking to you, the women in your life have taught you a great deal about a number of different things that you had not considered from a position of privilege. The idea that your female customers know the difference between a criminal lawsuit and a civil lawsuit, and how civil lawsuits can be settled, and how all the systems work against these women coming forward in any way as they now get smeared with gold digger and whatever else. You know how complicated and unjust these systems are that make it so that the victim becomes a victim again when she comes out and says something. I know you're a moral man, so how do you wrestle that conundrum, all of those things with your fandom and your allegiances?
Well, I still want to see even what becomes of the civil suits. I still want to see what comes of it. I mean, the rational part of me says 22 allegations, some of them are true, but the rational part of me also says, and this isn't popular, that probably at least one of those women jumped on board to try to get a payout that nothing happened to. So I want to see what comes of them first. I don't want to just take the allegations. In my heart, do I think they're true? Yeah, there's too many of them. And so I'm certainly not going to be a big DeShaun Watson fan or anything else. I mean,
Stan, why can you assume, Stan, that anybody? Why can we assume on one ground? Why can we wait on DeShaun Watson and assume that any one of those is coming forward just to grab money? I don't think we can make that.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm just telling you. I wouldn't. If somebody said that about any one of them, I would say that you would have to prove that. I think we have a responsibility to let things run their course and let accusations against people play out. But to think there's no one out there who would ever jump on a civil case just for the chance of getting money. Everybody who brings a civil case against somebody
but that is
moral and everything else.
But when it's 22, Stan, when it's
22 and you don't believe one of them could possibly.
It's not. No, but that doesn't foul it. It doesn't change the argument.
Yeah, and that
for
doesn't
me.
really matter.
And I don't. It's not that I can't apply cynicism to this and arrive at a point. Hey, maybe 4 of them are women whose motives are not totally brave and 100% noble.
Right. Still 18.
Maybe 7 of them are that.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it could be, but I don't like. That's not. We know enough about the systems that women are discouraged from coming forward.
There's no question.
And there are very few. And in rape instances and sexual assault instances, there are very few women, percentage-wise, who make the accusation falsely because of what comes with the accusation.
No, there's no question. And I think particularly when we're talking criminal cases, but the civil stuff's a little different. But listen, I'm just saying I want to wait until I see the thing run their course. Then I'll be as judgmental on DeShaun Watson and everything else, but as anyone else. But right now that That hasn't happened. All we've got right now are the accusations, and there's a lot of people out there. Maybe it's not 22, but there's a lot of people out there that get accused of things, and the accusations make us sick. But they're accusations, and I think we've got to fight against that and say, let's find out what's the truth first.
It feels like we're all attacking Stan here. I mean, Stan is just saying, let it play out first. I need more information. And that's perfectly reasonable.
Stan's not just saying that. That's actually what's happening here. Stan's just giving voice to what's happening. This is the NFL's policy. This has been the Browns' policy.
Well, but it should be the NFL's policy. Now, whether it should be a team's policy dealing with PR and everything else, that's a whole different matter. But it should be the league's policy. We shouldn't be condemning people for allegations.
This is also America's policy too. While it does seem, I don't like how this is all set up, because we're also dealing in hypotheticals and we're projecting takes that aren't actually takes. What the presumption of innocence is actually a truly American standard now, and that's what is actually happening right now.
And due process.
Yes, it is. And we have to fight that as people, I think, because it's a legal concept, but in the court of public opinion, it's too easy to just see an accusation and condemn the person who's accused. And I think we have to sort of fight ourselves to say, let's let this play out and let's see what happened. If this is true, then it's horrible. But let's not assume that because there's the allegation that it's true.
We're not talking about whether we should put him in jail. That's the legal standard for charging someone with a crime. We're talking about whether he should have the opportunity to play in the NFL, which is a public-facing job and one that represents the people in the city you play for and the organization that you play for. So I don't think any of us are saying, like, without seeing what the lawsuits say, lock him up, like throw away the key. I think we're all saying that the Browns made a decision to hire someone at their workplace who has 22 accusations of sexual misconduct against them. And there's other people at that workplace and who follow that, organization that are at odds with that. So there's a legal standard, but then there is what your own, toleration level is for these sorts of things. And I don't think that you can say, like, let's wait and see how this plays out. At least one of these could be fake, blah, 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 and also follow I think the mantra that we've been kind of taught over the last few years to believe women when they come forward, because there are so many things that are discouraging women from coming forward in these cases. And it is very difficult to come forward against someone who's a public figure, who is a quarterback of a football team in the city that you work in. So I wouldn't want to assume that anyone is lying or being untruthful. But we're talking about, like, several different things at once here. There's a civil suit, there's a criminal investigation, and then there's being hired to work in the NFL.
And on top of that, Stan, an NFL that has overpunished beyond the law, an NFL that has done the moral crusading of, and still Goodell is out here saying the right is still being reserved to punish DeShaun Watson some more, even though he's not been put on the exempt list. This is a league that has flaunted its moralities and its punishments, even if it doesn't meet a legal standard. They do think that their standard is above the law on how they can punish their employees.
Yeah, that's fine, but we've still, and even in my own way that I want to judge people, I'd like there to be some evidence, like we're saying that the accusations are enough. That's what if we're talking about this guy can't play football and we're going to punish him, what we're saying is the mere fact that you're accused of something makes it true. And I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with DeShaun Watson either, to be quite honest. I have to fight that impulse within myself to say what I'm saying is, let's let there be some proof. It can't be just the allegations. People have been accused of things that did not happen.
But it's not just the allegations or the accusations, there's reporting that's verified a lot of these allegations that has been independent of these women and the lawsuit, the civil lawsuit. So it's not just someone's
well, wait a
word
minute.
against.
Yes, it is, Jess, because the reporting, like, listen, this is the problem, and this is where you run into the problem on both sides of it. The problem with these cases is all those people reporting, there weren't a damn one of them in the room with any of those 22 people.
Because it's illegal in Texas to record massages.
But they are speaking and giving voice to people that were in rooms with DeShaun Watson, which has informed my opinion on this. Some of the great reporting by Jenny Brentis.
Yeah, but so again, let it play out, and it'll play out even in civil court, and then we can have our reaction to it. Why does he not get the chance for it to play out?
Okay, let me push this out. Can I push this out a little further? What if the way that it plays out is what most legal experts anticipate, the most likely scenario here, is some sort of settlement? Then what am I to do with that? Do I use that as innocence? How do I handle a settlement, per se?
Well, I don't know, because that is a really, really tough one. And we've got settlements from... There's settlements from a lot of people playing, not just DeShaun Watson.
Oh no, I understand. I understand that settlements.
So why is it okay that those people play and they've settled with people, but not DeShaun Watson? Why? Because this one's more public.
Well, because this one's also overwhelming because they're 22 alleged victims. So that I think to not, I hear what you're saying about reports and investigations and Jenny Brentis and talking to anonymous witnesses, but when the likely scenario here is, according to legal experts, that there's a settlement, the stuff that we just discussed will help inform my opinion as I take a morality stance on a case-by-case basis. Yes, I understand sometimes settlements are the only option, even for people that are totally innocent. This is not a black and white issue, but when there's 22, when the reporting has been so thorough, I just don't see a scenario in which DeShaun Watson didn't do something wildly inappropriate at best.
Well, I think you're right, okay, in that something happened. There's 22 accusations. I get all that. I just don't know that accusations with no proof, and certainly a settlement is not a proof. People settle for all kinds of reasons, that it should affect his ability to be employed or anything else. Certainly we all have the right to like or hate whoever we want. That's fine. But when we're talking affecting people's employment, we should have more than accusations.
I love charging again and again. I am telling you, I can feel the people listening to this getting mad that we have stuck in the middle of Stan Van Gundy Fun Day Thursday talking about chips, this moral conundrum that has been quicksand around here for a long time. And Stan Van Gundy has dared to have the controversial opinion of let's wait and see. The controversial opinion, the dangerous opinion of let's get all of the facts before we form an opinion, which is not allowed in the content business, you asshole.
Well, I just hope you all enjoy living in that limbo, because if this thing gets settled, we're always going to have these questions.
I know,
always.
I know, but these are new questions for new times, because you have finally heard the voices of minorities and women in a way that cannot be ignored and has altered your adult viewpoint. You did not have to do this math when you were watching this through the eyes of a child. Stan Van Gundy, I don't think, watches this through the eyes of a child. He's an executive. He's had to make sort of cutthroat decisions that, I don't know, Stan, run against whatever moralities it is that you're having to choose some of these things all the time, and your league didn't do morality the way the NFL does. Your league, you've worked for an employer that is even, I guess, more cutthroat about this stuff, because your employer doesn't do the optics of we're going to overpunish our players.
No, I would say that the NBA actually truly believes in due process, and they go from there. They'll certainly punish people who are convicted and everything else. I mean, one of the problems I think we have now with, everything being online and social media is we rush to judgment on people all the time. And I do too. Like my initial impulse is I hear this, I believe it. There's too many people. This guy's a creep. He shouldn't be anywhere near playing football, the whole thing. And then I have to pull back and say, let's let it run its course. Let's see what's actually true.
Stan, I want to do 5 minutes of basketball with you here because there are a number of different things I want to talk to you about. And the Lakers and Jazz played tonight. You're doing that game. I'm sorry that you're doing that game. It's the Lakers without LeBron James. It seems like a waste of your flight. Why are you doing that game? Are you sad that you're doing that game?
No, I'm not sad. I mean, we didn't know at the time it was going to be no LeBron James. He actually thought, Utah's battling for playoff seeding, and the Lakers supposedly are battling to get into the play-in. I don't know if that's true. I'm not so sure that everybody with that organization really wants to get in and play in the play-in. I mean, they say the right things. If we get in the play-in and we've got LeBron and Anthony Davis, we can make a run. I'm not really sure that they believe that and that they want to get in and try to play Phoenix in a first-round series. Even if they could get through the play-in, that first-round series could be embarrassing. I'm not sure they want to, but technically they're fighting to get into the play-in. Right now they're sitting 10th, half game up on San Antonio. So if LeBron and Anthony Davis were playing, it would be a compelling game, but we didn't know they wouldn't be playing.
LeBron quit, huh?
I didn't say that.
I'm saying it. Yeah.
And the interesting take is somebody said the other day, and I don't even know exactly what the requirements are, that he's certainly not going to sit the rest of the year because he's in line to win a scoring title and he won't qualify. He won't have enough games.
He's got to play 2 more games. And Stan, basketball history enough to know 3 guys competing to average 30 points a game. I mean, I'm assuming it's happened, but it doesn't happen very often.
Well, it hasn't happened a lot lately, that's for sure. And LeBron's going to come back and play at some point
because he's selfish.
Anthony Davis supposedly is going to play Friday against the Pelicans. He's not going to play tonight. They're on a back-to-back. I'm assuming that's because they wouldn't want to play him on a back-to-back anyway. And so they picked the game they're going to play, and Friday's at home against New Orleans rather than playing on the road against the Jazz and Rudy Gobert. So he's going to play, and maybe this Laker team wants it more than I think it does. But the fact is they haven't had any run this entire season. I mean, their best run is early in the year. They won 6 out of 8 at one stretch. That's it. They don't have a run longer than that where they've had any kind of success. They're 11-10 when both LeBron and Anthony Davis play. There's nothing indicating that this is a team to be feared in any way other than LeBron James and Anthony Davis have both had some past success.
Stan, quitting's a bad look for LeBron. I think you agree with me. And here's what I'm saying about LeBron quitting, okay? They are a half game ahead of the Spurs for that play-in game, okay? And that play-in game, if LeBron is healthy, if Anthony Davis is healthy, that team could, I'm not saying they would, but they could make a run in the Western Conference playoffs. I guarantee you, LeBron will be playing against the Utah Jazz tonight if they were the 3 seed trying to, move up a spot and get the 2 seed. Then he'd be available. But he quit on his team. And I know you agree. You don't want to say it. That's fine. I'll say it for both of us. He's a quitter, Stan.
Well, please don't speak for me.
What do you mean?
Please, that's a dangerous thing. And
dangerous game.
I mean, the compelling game could be, if the Lakers, the way it stands now, lost the first play-in game at New Orleans and Minnesota beat the Clippers, then you'd have the Lakers and the Clippers playing each other for a spot in the playoffs. I think that would be a great game. The Clippers, I think, they've got their guys coming back. Paul George came back with a huge game. They think they're going to get Norman Powell back. They're excited, I think, about a chance to play. I just don't. And again, I'm just reading into the situation. I don't see the Lakers really being excited to try to get in the play-in and make a run. I think that deep down, they all know they're not good enough. And I certainly think there's some feeling of, this season's over. And, if it ends now, it ends now. It's not a big deal. So I don't think that's necessarily quitting. I think it's hard to have much confidence when you're 31-44. And
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. I need to do this for the audience. I need to speed up this hour a little bit with information of basketball. We started with LeBron. We should not have. There are a lot of people playing good basketball. His team is not one of them, but that's the game Stan is doing. So 30 seconds, and we will have a sound. Do we have a sound here that could stop Stan every 30 seconds so we can move from topic to topic here quickly at the end of the segment? Okay, that's what we will do to move Stan along. That little pathetic ball shot from a red toy.
Can Stan hear that?
From a red toy gun. We will stop him regardless. Give me 30 seconds, Stan, on the Memphis Grizzlies.
Well, to me, the story of the entire season, there's always good ones, is the Memphis Grizzlies are 35-21 with Ja Morant and 19-2 without him. Ja Morant's a top 10 player in the league. I have no explanation whatsoever for that because he's also a very unselfish player. He's not a good defender, so you would expect him to be better defensively without him. But the problem is the 19-2, a large portion of those 19 wins are blowouts.
Shut up. The thing.
Time
is up.
It's making me nervous.
That's okay. 30 seconds. Solid 30 seconds. The best team in the East, according to Stan Van Gundy, as the season comes to a close, is
the Milwaukee Bucks. They're back whole. They've got Brook Lopez back. He looks good. I think it's really close with all those teams. If you would have asked me 5 days ago, I would have said the Boston Celtics. I mean, they were playing great. They were easily the best team in the East over the last 2 months. But Robert Williams being out, and he's going to be out, certainly through the first round of the playoffs. I don't give them much of a chance. I think Milwaukee, Miami, and Philly.
Time! That is all you get on that, Stan Van Gundy. We are speeding up Stan Van Gundy. He doesn't have a clock in his head, but I bet you if we make it like a shot clock, he'll stop his yammering. Let's go ahead and do the Philadelphia.
It's a 24-second shot clock now, all right, Stan?
It's now 24 seconds. Philadelphia 76ers. What do you got, Stan?
Well, they'll win in the first round easily. I don't think they beat Miami or Philly, so it all depends, on the seedings in the second round. I think they would beat Boston without Robert Williams.
Excellent. See how good he is when you tighten him up a little bit?
When it's the shot clock and the whole
he
approach
gets it.
changes.
Right.
Did you have Phoenix Suns Celtics before the Williams injury? Is that what you imagined happened based on how the teams have played the second half of the season?
Yeah, I really thought so. I thought Boston was playing at that level. First, it started just with their defense being great. They started winning, but then their offense started to improve. I think they would have won the East, but Robert Williams is too important. So if I had to predict now, I'd say we get a rematch of last year's finals.
Who is the historical comp to Booker?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm not getting that in 20. I won't even come up with an answer in 24 seconds on that. But there's a lot of people pushing him for the MVP with the best player on the best team formula that a lot of people use.
Give us 24 seconds or less on Coach K.
He's amazing when you make it a shot clock.
Right,
are you
8
noticing?
seconds to get it off half court.
Are you noticing how good he is now with
you have
the
8
clock
seconds
in his
to make
head
half
when
of
you
your
tell
point.
him it's a shot clock? It's the only time he's known.
Shame, because I really like the sound.
I know.
Mike has been hovering over the microphone, just wanting to make the sound, and Stan keeps coming in smooth, 2 seconds under, because he's been living life 24 seconds at a time
Like Dom Toretto.
for
Forever.
40 bleeping years. tightened it up so much. The Nets, Stan.
Coach K.
The Nets. I'm sorry, Coach K.
Well, the Nets are,
Coach K and the Nets. Go.
Coach K.
At the same time.
Well, I can't combine them, but Coach K.
You can.
Kyrie
You can.
Irving.
That's Kyrie Irving.
That's your Kevin Bacon in this scenario.
The Nets, two great offensive players, certainly capable of beating anybody. And either the Nets or one of those top 4 teams in the East are going to be out in the first round.
Coach K.
Coach K, 24 seconds. Go.
Well, I mean, Coach K's had an unbelievable career. Other than John Wooden, no one has been better in the men's game. If we're talking college basketball in general, nobody's done what Gino Auriemma has done. But Coach K has been as good as anyone. This is a great story to come down to the end for him to have this team in the Final Four when it wasn't playing that well.
The thing, Pop. Hell of a take. Coach K is great. What a story. Rack him.
You get more time in college, though. I mean,
Oh, yeah, you do.
You get like 30 or something.
30 seconds. Go. Finish your thought in 6 seconds.
Enough. It was 7 seconds too many on. It's a great story. Way to go, Coach K. You gave us nothing. Your dismount was shit, Stan.
Well, what am I going to give you on Coach
Rip
K?
him. Rip him.
What kind of analysis do you want me to give you on Coach K?
Rip him.
You're tired of Duke.
It's all out there. There's a story. All you've got to do is watch the commercials on TV. At one point this weekend, I tweeted Rex Chapman, who was in the studio for TBS on a tournament. I said, "Is anyone other than Duke playing this weekend? Because that's all you got."
That's
it. That's actually racking.
Put it on the scroll.
Better. That is much better. Coach K.
He's tired of Coach K.
How about his dyed hair? Let's aggregate him. Rip Coach K's dyed hair. There's no way that hair looks that black at that age.
I'm not getting into that.
He paints his hair on, says Stan Van Gundy. Stan, thank you for being on with us.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Stan.
Yeah, bye-bye.